Hey my fashion friends, it's me Elisa, and today I'm going to show you how to put boning in. If you would like to know how to do that, stay tuned. Okay guys, this is a piece that I had laying around. It has the boning in the princess seams and also the side seams. And in this piece, it has the regular plastic boning, and I'm going to show you the things that you'll need to place boning in your strapless foundation or anything that requires boning. Let's get started on the things that you're going to need. You're going to need boning. This is what I call the beginner's boning, or you can use the plastic boning, as you can see. You can use the metal boning, which I do not have at this time. I'm just going to use the plastic boning for right now, for this tutorial. You're going to need a ruler. You're going to need the actual piece of fabric or the actual piece that you're going to be working on. I have this. You're going to need thread. And you're going to need straight pins, a sewing machine, and an iron, which are not on camera. What I'm going to do is I'm going to measure how long my seam is. With my ruler, I'm going to go ahead and measure. It's 7 inches long. And now I'm going to measure my boning casing. Usually boning comes in a roll or however many yards you want it to be. And since mine is already pre-cut, all I have to do is mark it. 7 inches. I'm going to use my scissors to cut the excess off. Next thing that you're going to do is you're going to lay this boning casing flat on top of your seam allowance on the wrong side, unless you want to apply your boning in a fancy way on the right side. Now that my boning casing is on the seam allowance, I'm going to pin it. Okay, I'm ready to sew the boning casing to the piece. I'm going to go ahead and start sewing it going all the way down on this side, and then I'm going to flip it over and sew it all the way on this side. And as you can see, my stitch lines are on the actual stitch line of the boning casing. And I'm going to go ahead and do the other side. You don't need pins for this part on the opposite side because it's already stitched down, so I'm just gonna go ahead and stitch it. And voila, there you go. Now as you can see, it's on the opposite side. Now I did it in yellow, as I stated earlier, because I want to make sure that you guys can see it. But if you guys were sewing it onto an actual garment, you will use the same color as the fabric. I already pressed open my seam off camera and already measured the length of my seam allowance, and I already measured the length of my boning casing. All I have to do now is show you how to put the boning on the seam allowance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip over my piece to where only one side of the seam allowance is showing, and I'm going to apply my boning casing on the seam allowance only and pin. I'm going to show you again. I'm going to flip over my piece on one side, and I'm going to pin to the seam allowance only. See? It's pinned on there, but it's not showing up on the right side of the fabric. So I'm going to continue to pin, and I'm going to sew it down. I'm ready to sew it on one side of the fabric. Now, I'm going to sew it to the other side. And voila! It's not showing up on my seam allowance, and I'm happy. I'm going to show you how to smooth off your boning piece so it won't hurt you or your potential client. I'm going to show you using a file and matches, or you can use your stove, whichever works best for you. I'm going to start with the file and just run it over the tips. And now I'm going to show you using matches. Using all my matches here. Alright. It doesn't need to be fancy. Just enough. And there you go.